Welcome back to Insightful Wanderer. Before we start our true story, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and if you really enjoyed it, share. Now let's get to it. Tonight we travel to the heart of America, 1871, to a disaster that reshaped a city. This is the true story of the Great Chicago Fire. Chicago was booming, a city of opportunity. The railroads had made it a hub for commerce. Lumber, meatpacking and trade filled the streets with activity and noise. But the city was largely built of wood. Houses, sidewalks and businesses all flammable. A hot, dry October had left the city like a tinderbox. Most residents ignored the warning signs. Life went on as usual. The story of the Great Chicago Fire begins on the evening of October 8, 1871. The city was a tinderbox built largely of wood and parched by a long, dry summer with very little rain. In a small barn on Coven Street, owned by the Irish immigrant O'Leary family, a single spark ignited. The legend, born almost as quickly as the fire itself, blames Catherine O'Leary's cow for kicking over a lantern. This simple, dramatic story captured the public imagination, a convenient scapegoat for an unimaginable disaster. But historians now dismiss this tale. The reporter who first published it later admitted he made it up. The true cause remains a mystery, lost to the chaos of that night. Ultimately, the origin mattered less than the terrifying speed with which the fire spread. A relentless southwesterly wind, gusting over 30 miles per hour, acted as a giant bellows, fanning the flames into an inferno. Embers the size of a man's hand were carried for blocks, igniting new fires far ahead of the main blaze. Wooden sidewalks, roofs and fences became a river of fire, consuming everything in its path. Panic set in. People ran through the smoky streets, shouting, screaming, their cries swallowed by the roar of the conflagration. The night sky glowed an apocalyptic red, a terrifying beacon visible for miles, as the fire began its relentless march toward the heart of Chicago. Firefighters, already exhausted from a major blaze the previous night, tried to respond, but their efforts were crippled almost immediately. The city's waterworks, ironically built of wood, was one of the first key structures to be consumed by the flames, causing water pressure to plummet. Hose lines became useless, snapping under the intense heat and pressure changes. In a city built of pine, the fire found endless fuel. Wooden buildings, sidewalks and coal yards caught like matchsticks, creating a firestorm that was nearly impossible to fight. Panic set in. Families fled into the cold night with only what they could carry, a river of humanity pouring through the streets. Some neighbors tried desperately to save their homes with wet blankets and buckets, but most lost everything to the inferno. A suffocating smoke choked the streets, and a constant rain of hot ash fell like a grim snow. By the morning of October 9th, the devastation was absolute. Over 17,000 buildings were destroyed. An estimated 300 people were dead, and more than 100,000, a third of the city's population, were left homeless. Chicago was a smoldering ruin. Amid disaster, acts of courage emerged. Neighbors rescued children. Strangers helped the elderly. One fireman, Clem Balanoff, led people across bridges to safety. Churches and warehouses became temporary shelters. Families huddled together in fear. The fire raged for 2 days, finally stopped by rain and fire breaks. The city was in ruins. Chicago's population had been around 300,000. Over 100,000 people were left without homes. Food, water and shelter were scarce. Yet the resilience of Chicagoans was remarkable. Within weeks, temporary homes were built. Within months, plans for rebuilding emerged. Fire codes, brick buildings and water systems became priorities. The fire was a tragedy, but it shaped modern Chicago. The Great Chicago Fire reminds us, urban planning saves lives, Preparation matters. Even in chaos, humanity shines. Stories from survivors tell of heartbreak and courage. Families mourned lost pets, homes and loved ones. Some left the city. Others stayed to rebuild, brick by brick, street by street. The city that rose from the ashes became stronger, a testament to the unyielding spirit of its people. From the smoldering ruins, a new Chicago was born, built not just with brick and steel, but with a hard-won wisdom. The fire left an indelible scar, but it also taught a profound lesson in urban design and civic responsibility. Stricter building codes and a revolutionary fire department were forged in that inferno, innovations that would shape cities worldwide. It's a stark reminder that disasters can come without warning, transforming an ordinary evening into a fight for survival. Ultimately, history teaches us to respect the forces of nature, to build our cities with foresight, and above all, to care for one another in times of crisis. If you found this story of resilience moving, like, comment, and subscribe to Insightful Wanderer. Many more true stories from the 1800s await. Until next time, stay curious, stay reflective, and keep wandering.